I saw the juiciest bits. I didn't watch the whole thing. Yeah, I saw some of the good stuff. It was about what I expected.
Oh, I saw a picture of the notes, and it was pictures of the reporters with their names with a big number in a black
Sharpie? Yeah.
like calling the order of which you to call them, and their question was printed out next to their face. So it was like the most foolproof you could do, and he still screwed up like terribly. It was so bad.
I remember when Mark Sanchez was the quarterback of the Jets, he was like doing these stupid mistakes. So what they did was in his playbook, they would like color code it. So like if it was a red play, you have to really be careful this time, Mark. You know what I mean? Like just like
That's
so
right.
so remedial.
I actually, when I was a bartender at a 5-star resort, I was serving him. He came in for the week, and while he was with the Jets, actually, it was in California, but he's from California.
Yeah.
And or I don't know if he's from California, but he played USC.
He played there, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think he is from Cal.
I think
he's
he is
from,
too.
Like, Southern Orange County or something.
I think he is.
Anyways, he was like rolling with his linebacker, like two linebackers from the Jets too, and they were just kind of like his bodyguards at the same time. It was really funny. But
good stuff, cool, man. Good stuff. I like it.
Too bad he's a terrible quarterback.
Too bad.
I don't understand why there's such a difference between college and professional. Like, I get that it's definitely a step up, but I don't understand how people can dominate in college and then be a disaster in the pros. Like, I don't understand the difference.
Like, it's partially like everyone's like faster, so like your reactions have to be quicker, and you know, it's partially that. But yeah, I always agree with you, because you should also be faster if you're in the NFL, like you would think. But it's almost like a different game.
But so that makes sense if you just look at it from that dimension. Yeah. But then if you look at it from another dimension, for example, some of the quarterbacks that have been the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, was drafted like 17th or something, a 17th round or 17th pick or something, so deep, because they didn't do that good in college. And then they do great in the professional leagues, but then the people that did great in college do terrible. So it's something more than just, it's
the
next stage, or everyone would do terrible. So
it's a very good point. I don't understand it, but that's okay. I don't need to understand that kind of stuff. It's all wizardry to me. Everything's fake.
Everything is fake. Oh man, I had to ask you this question. You texted me or signaled me or whatever that I totally got red pilled from this election. And I laughed so hard, just like you're laughing, and because it's so true. I knew there was a bunch of fraud and shadiness. Obviously, I was watching Spygate and things like that, and I knew the FBI was shady. I always knew the FBI was shady.
Sure.
And I knew certain divisions, IRS scandals from Obama, but I really just the whole thing. I didn't realize how shady the whole game was. But my question to you was, what made you ask me that or say that? Is there something I said? And
it's not anything in particular. I was talking to my brother about people in general. So, okay, I'll just say this. So my brother was talking with me about someone in his life that's very important to him. And he was very surprised that he's a very respectable man. You know what I mean? Very surprised that he was openly talking about the possibility that Joe Biden's like not real. Like maybe he's not a hologram, but like something's wrong with him. Like he's not even like, he's not in charge. He's not really in control of himself. Like, you know, but thinking along those lines, like how we joke, right? He might be a hologram.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, we were talking, we're like, man, so many people, the election just broke them. Like they are red pilled beyond repair at this point. Like they're out of the matrix. There's no way to plug them back in. And then I saw you tweet or Gab something. It was like, I don't remember exactly what, but it was something election related, like you've been doing. And I thought to myself, Matt is one of these people that got red pills so hard, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle at this point.
Not at all. Not at all. Like, well, I guess you could put it back in the bottle in the sense that you make things right.
Yeah.
I'm never going to just assume the status quo is right anymore.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's not that you can't fix things or you can't decipher things. And it's not to say that you, like you said, like I wasn't saying like you believed everything you saw before. No, I'm not saying that. But there's no way you would have been talking the way you are now a year ago.
Never. Not even close. Not even close. And it's even worse is I was always given a benefit of a doubt that the government, and majority of it was just a bureaucratic nightmare, not that there was active tyrannical plans being made. Now I think everything's a tyrannical plan. Super skeptical.
Well, it's like I was listening to someone, I think this might have been Peter Schiff. I've been listening to his show a lot lately, but
he's good.
Yeah, he's really smart, and I like his style too. He's just really funny. But anyway, his whole thing is like, it's easier to not assume like this is some grand conspiracy plan, whatever. And it was just like, they're just that out of touch with reality. That's easier to him. Like thinking that it's all a conspiracy is like way more complicated. But then he's like, but it could be. And it doesn't even matter though, because you know what they're doing is wrong. You know what they're doing is insane. So like whether or not they're intending to do it, you still got to protect yourself and defend yourself. So whether somebody is just like flailing around like a lunatic, punching everything in the air, or if they're trying to attack you, you still got to defend yourself.
Right. Yeah. If it's like a schizophrenic guy flipping out and going to attack you, or a guy who's trained in martial arts trying to attack you, you're still doing the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that assessment, and that's the wise thing to do. But I do not see how this isn't purposeful. I mean, they're even bragging about it.
That's right.
They're calling this presidency going to be as significant as FDR was. That's who they're citing as the Joe Biden presidency. That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, no, you're right. I would agree. Like it's like they couldn't be doing a better job if they tried, and if they were really trying, they couldn't do a better job than this. So then they probably are trying. Like it's naive to think that they just luck their way into this so many times because they're just that stupid. They're not that stupid.
No, not at all. And there's too many people involved in it to not be. I mean, we're still seeing Hillary Clinton comment. Barack Obama started commenting on all these different things. And then it came out, and I don't know if I said it on this show or on my show, but I've been saying that Barack Obama is pulling the strings behind Biden.
Have been saying that
this whole time. That came out this week. Like, those people are doing things on purpose. The Clinton machine is a Clinton machine. Barack Obama is very purposeful with what he's doing. And if it was just Biden being Biden and no one really knew how to control him and he was just crazy, then I would think like, yeah, it's just, the schizophrenic guy trying to attack you. But it's crazy. I mean, so here's a question. We got questions before the show. And by the way, welcome to Reform Jellicle. It's AD Robles, Matt Williams. We live stream 7:30 p.m. Eastern if you want to check us out on Thursdays. If not, catch us Fridays on the recording. But we had some questions before our show even started. Very punctual people. Can you address how Joe Biden questioned today whether or not there would even be a Republican Party in 2024? And when asked about re-election, Joe said that Trump, in his first day in office, filed for his re-election campaign because he, quote, had to implying that Joe doesn't have to. Wonder why. So I think from what I said, I probably didn't read that right. It didn't make sense to me. But basically what he said is Trump had to file the first day or whenever he did, the reporter brought up in 2016 when he won because he had to. Right. Joe Biden doesn't have to worry about that is the implication that he had when he was doing that. So did you see that clip first?
I didn't see that clip. No.
And it's so funny. I talk about it on my show that comes out tomorrow, but I think it's good to talk about here because this is the big deal. Everyone else was talking about the gaffes and the 20-second pause that he had where he wandered off the podium stage and almost walked up to the reporter to give him a sniff or something or whatever Joe Biden does.
Yeah, he definitely sniffed him. Definitely.
But this to me was the big thing, the big gaffe, if you will, of where he said that he doesn't even know if the Republican Party will be around in 2024. And if you are not a student of politics, that may not seem like a big deal because Joe Biden's nuts. Like he's out of his mind. He's an old man.
Sure.
He's not there, right? But what it made me think about was 2 weeks before the election, he said we were putting together the biggest election fraud scheme in American politics. And we all thought the same thing as what we thought
nuts.
When he said
yeah,
this.
Right.
He's just nuts. But he wasn't nuts.
Yeah.
He actually was doing it. And so I think wisdom, again, like the Peter Schiff rule, like whether it's nuts or not, we kind of have to prepare for this and think through what does this mean, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I mean, listen, like they say stuff like this all the time. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But to be honest, like even without Joe Biden saying stuff like that, I mean, you got to read the writing on the wall. Whether a Republican Party exists or not, they are certainly attempting to set it up so that it doesn't even matter. Right? Why would it even matter? Right. They're even, yeah, exactly. Like, why would it even matter at this point, given what they're up to?
Yeah, exactly right. And then, and the other thought I had that was like just humorous and kind of what I was saying is, I don't even know if that means it's a Democrat plan or they're just mocking the GOP because they're so terrible that they're going to implode on themselves. Like, it may not be nefarious.
Sure. I mean, think about it. Like why would anyone really care? There's like a handful of Republicans that seem to be worth anything, and the rest of them are just, tools of whatever, the Democrats are doing. You know what I mean? Except with some minor complaints.
Yeah. I'm getting notifications in here that YouTube did not give you guys the alert that we were going live. You guys got to make sure you're subscribed, have that bell ding-donged or whatever it is. It's so weird you have to have like two different things. I'm so glad I'm not on YouTube anymore except for this.
Yeah, I'm still on there, but yeah, it's ridiculous. Everything's more difficult. Everything.
Yeah, exactly right. There was something else in here. I remember Rush saying a year ago that Obama staying and living in D.C. was going to keep on influencing the Democrat Party. Absolutely. Like we said, Samantha Powers lives with him. And not Samantha Powers? Susan Rice. Sorry. Susan Rice lives with him and is an advisor, consults with the VP once a week for lunch. And now we know Obama is actually talking to Biden, which we all know Obama isn't talking to Biden for good conversation. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he can barely say his own name.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep, Freudian sleep. Hi. Okay, we've got a lot of people going. All right, AD, you did a little teaser. Did you get to find out any more information on the crypto conspiracy theory?
Yeah, so there's some debate here. So the paper itself is boring. So it's hard to read, but
Okay.
Anyway,
let's set it up first. So we've been talking for a long time about possibly behind the scenes of the cryptocurrency craze, specifically Bitcoin, blockchain technology, that it is not run by or created by some mysterious programmer, but it's actually by a government. And we've been speculating and teasing and joking around with that for a while. And then AD texted me out of nowhere, and I know he's excited because it's usually me sending him stuff. Says apparently there was a paper put out by the NSA in 1996 to create a digital cryptocurrency, and the two Japanese guys, you racist, who wrote it have names that have an anagram of Sadi Ai or what?
Yeah.
How'd you say it?
Satoshi, whatever his name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure it's autocorrect.
Okay. Satoshi Nakamoto.
There it is.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
So there's a lot of controversy here. So the paper is real, and there were two Japanese dudes that were involved. Their names are, they're Japanese names. So like, it's hard to say, you know what I mean?
Right.
Hard to say whether or not they're really an anagram or not. But the paper is kind of like, it's kind of like saying implying that there's some concern about this. And here's how you would mint a new currency digitally. And it's like almost like a how-to, but also like why this would be an issue for the governments and stuff like that. So some people say, see, they knew this was going to be a problem. It's a big threat. They knew it was going to be a big threat to them. And then other people are like, yeah, they're just telegraphing this. They're like, oh, it's some big threat. And then they make it. And then they've got this control. And really, a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin is almost a way to get you used to a digital currency. So it's a legitimate thing. And then they layer in their USD Bitcoin, whatever it's going to be. You know what I mean? And the idea of that is they can track every exchange. They know everything you buy, everything. They can manipulate rates. They can manipulate your savings, whatever they want to do to get you to spend the way they want you to. So I couldn't get to the bottom of it. The paper itself is weird. And then there's a lot of controversy about what it actually means. But there's no question that the NSA was talking about these things in 1996. Bitcoin, I believe, came out in 2009.
Wow. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Just the evidence that they're even talking about a cryptocurrency before it even comes to stage and having it in public as a paper, that's remarkable in and of itself. But I have to say, just you explaining both sides, I'm kind of tending towards the latter. That makes more sense to me, that you would kind of build it up as a threat, get people used to it, and then either control that currency or get everyone to flip and get used to it
Yeah.
Because you're going to have so much more control as a government without having physical currency. Just being able to freeze assets, delete assets, shift around assets, redistribution of wealth, doing an income, basic income. All of those things are far more possible than with physical currency.
Right. And think about it. Like they're already like in the point where rates are essentially zero. They got to go into negative rates to continue the scam, whatever. And it'd be way easier to do that stuff if it was all digital. They could manipulate it so easily. Like imagine if they had insight into spending habits more so than they do right now. They obviously have a lot of data already, but like let's just say they had more data and they wanted to entice you to spend more because our entire economy is based on spending.
Right.
Imagine if they could flick a switch and your bank account actually shrinks. Not only do you not get any interest for having your money in the bank, but it actually is negative. So what would a reasonable person do if their bank account was shrinking? Well, they would buy stuff. A lot of people would buy just frivolous stuff. Some people would buy assets, whatever, but like they'd get you to do what they wanted to by, and they could do it whatever they wanted to do essentially. And so they've got Bitcoin, right? And you can almost see them playing this up where it's like some governments are saying we're going to ban it. And then they're like, oh, it's just nefarious. It's used for nefarious purposes. This is Bitcoin. But then they're like, but the idea is good. And then they layer in their coin and stuff. And then they ban Bitcoin, heavy fines, that kind of stuff. You could see the play coming. You know what I mean?
Totally can. And they can do things like instant fines. They can combine like what China does with their credit score of citizens. Like, oh, you dropped a credit score, we're taking $500 out of your account.
Sure.
And you can't do anything about it. It's like you can't challenge it in court. They just take it.
Right,
all those things, man.
And then you even think about, like, I don't know about you where you were, Matt, but like where I was, every store had signs that say, we don't have any coins. There's a national coin shortage because, coronavirus can travel on coins. And it's like, obviously it can't. We all knew that at the beginning and we still know it. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the way. So it's like almost like getting you ready for, it's like, okay, well, there's no cash here because you can get coronavirus through the cash. Yeah. So you have to use your credit card. And then it's going to be just no cash at all because why have cash?
Right. Yeah.
Bitcoin's the wave of the future.
It's inefficient. Yeah. All that stuff.
Bitcoin's the future, bro.
Yeah. If we have negative interest rates, you can't hide it in your wallet anymore. All those things.
No, it's just insane, man.
Yeah. Speaking of coronavirus, Bill Gates now claims the world won't return to normal until the end of 2022 from an interview with a Polish newspaper. And earlier he was saying that the end of 2021. So they're starting to push it back again. It's the whole 2 weeks to slow the spread thing all over again.
2 weeks to slow the spread. Yeah. No, this is when you sent me that, I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, of course he's saying that because he's a weirdo. And, but then I also started thinking, how much you want to bet that normal becomes like, you're always going to wear a mask. You're always going to, do this or that. Always going to be 50% capacity. Always going to be like we should never shake hands again. Like we're never going to return back to normal, at least from their perspective.
No, I don't think we are until they're defeated.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So it's going to cause a conflict. I think inevitably there's going to be conflict actually on multiple levels, and I think they've gotten too comfortable with telling us what to do. We're not going to go back. It's been too easy for them. There was not really any pushback. I mean, there still really isn't pushback. There's states that are opening again, but there wasn't any BLM riots over it.
Nope.
Right? I mean, that's pushback.
Exactly.
BLM riots are pushbacks, but none of that happened. So why wouldn't they just continue to push it along, grow corporate wealth, spend money, all of these different things? It still creeps me out that Bill Gates is talking about medical stuff, and no one questions it. Not in the media. Like, hey, why are we interviewing you right now? No one ever asks that.
No one ever asks that. It's just like he's just an authority, And it's like, here's something I've got. I got something for you. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Bill Gates if you want to, but I've got something for you about tech people.
All right, let's do tech people.
You ready for this one?
Yep.
I don't know if you're ready for this one.
Probably
all right.
Not.
All right. So me and my brother were also talking about these NFTs. So, if you don't know what the NFTs are, people are buying digital pieces of art, digital houses, digital tweets, and they're spending lots of money on digital pictures, all kinds of weird stuff. like a picture, like you can see it on my screen right now, but you have like the original, or I don't even know what I don't even know what it means really, but they're selling this stuff. And my brother's like, oh, that's really stupid. Why would you buy a digital house? And there's this guy that's selling digital real estate. And the premise is, well, real estate always goes up in value, but then you have to worry about tenants and like all kinds of stuff. Like, so digital real estate will always go up in value too, but you don't have to worry about that stuff. It's so stupid, right? So obviously it's stupid. So we were talking about this, and Gary Vaynerchuk's talking about how it's like legitimate because, when you're playing World of Warcraft, the clothing that you wear, it's, if you get a prestigious clothing, it's kind of valuable. It's the same kind of concept. And I think that's ridiculous, obviously. But we started thinking like, some people do like to live in virtual worlds, and there's value there. You're playing a game, you want to have the best stuff. You want to look the coolest. So there's some value. There's some kind of value there, sort of. Mm-hmm. And then we were starting to think, we also keep hearing a lot about this transhumanism thing. You've heard of this?
Right. Yeah. I've heard of transhumanism. Yeah.
You've heard of transhumanism. And then my brother had a eureka moment. He goes, the first time I heard about transhumanism was with my brother-in-law, and he's a brilliant guy, just a normal guy, a Christian. He was telling me that his bosses were talking about it. He works for one of these big tech companies, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about they're all about it, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to get us to be like used to this idea of a digital life where your mind and your, whoever you are is digital, and you're in a digital house, and you've got these NFTs. I've got the best penthouse on digital Fifth Avenue. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're trying to get used to this idea, and it's almost like it is sort of a spiritual, like religious kind of thing as well. You could live forever in digital Fifth Avenue. Yeah. Forget the idea that real Fifth Avenue, there's only one. There's only a few penthouses. In digital Fifth Avenue, there could be infinite. It doesn't matter. You can create as many as you want. But then we were thinking, the big tech like execs, like the big corpo tech guys, mm-hmm. they're almost like the new priests. And they're the ones from on high that give us our morality. They control our digital lives. They tell you what you can and can't do. They're almost like they're puppet masters, and they give us the new like goals. Like the new way to be saved is to download your mind into this thing. And they got money. They've created it. It's digital gold, and they've given you all the resources, but you get to create. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're like these big tech corpo guys are like the priests of a new religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so of course they go to Bill Gates to talk about health. Who else would you go to find out how to end the plague? You don't pray to God. You find out what Bill Gates, he's a priest.
Yeah. He'll give us the next update.
Of course. Exactly. So why wouldn't you go to Bill Gates? I mean, yeah, it's totally out of his realm, but when you're a priest, you're expected to answer all kinds of questions that are out of your realm.
That's true. Man,
so
that really creeped me out.
It creeps you out, doesn't it?
Yes,
Think about it. And this is not anything.
Makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And it's not anything really that new, because when you think about it, like we used to treat professors this way, where they were almost like the priests of a new religion, where you go to the professors and the weird ideas about morality and whatever, they come through the professors. Like the commies started in the professorships, right?
Right.
And then it goes to whatever else, and eventually, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the bartender's a communist, but now it kind of sidestepped the professors, because a lot of these corpo guys, they never went to school. So they're like these big tech guys, and now they're the priests. The professors used to be the priests of humanism. Now it's the big tech guys.
Well, yeah. And that's interesting, because I think the underlying thing here that can make somebody this priest or prophet, or however you want to say it, is they control silos of information.
Yeah.
Before, it was able to be the professor, because that's the universities had the information and no one else had it pre-internet, right? And the internet is slowly decentralized that, where then the tech people were the ones who controlled the information. And now the information is spread through social media. Before the social media lockdowns and the censorship, I think it was 80% of our generation got our news from social media. So all of our information was still controlled by this one source. Like in the Catholic Church before the Reformation, the priests were the actual priests in the situation. They controlled the Bible. No one got to read it. It's all about who controls the information and knowledge.
That's exactly right. And when and even think about the Roman Catholics for a second. Like like, and in professors to a certain degree, like they knew you couldn't read anyway. So it's like they give you they speak in Latin. It's like a foreign tongue. And and when you listen to a professor, oftentimes they attempt to even dazzle you and confuse you. That's how you know, like, you're dealing with a zealot. Because good professors, they try to make you understand. Bad professors, the ones that want you to think of them as a wizard or a priest, they confuse you on purpose. So it's like
science professors do that. They use their scientific terms and stuff. Oh.
That's right. Yeah. It's like we both know that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it's it's the triple complex of the congruent. It's like we both know it doesn't mean anything. So like, so the point is, like, and then these big tech guys, they often speak in riddles and code too. Like if you look at how Elon Musk tweets or like Jack Dorsey tweets, like they're actually not trying to communicate anything. They're just trying to like send signals or do spells on you. Like oftentimes it's just one word. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
They're creeps, and like they know you don't know what the heck they're talking about half the time. Like, what the heck is an NFT? Like I could just look at a picture of you. You know what I mean? Like so I can buy this tweet of your tweet, but I can also just copy and paste it on my Word, and like I have it there too. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, but but this one's worth $1 million. Like why? Well, it just is. You don't know what the heck they're talking about. So listen, this is the thing, man. You're right. It's all about controlling that information, man. The Roman Catholic priests were dazzling you with nonsense most of the time, and it's the same thing with Jack Dorsey. You know what I mean? The same thing. These are like cult leaders. They're like priests. They really are. They control the information. They control what you know. They control what's allowed to even be spoken of. So if you can't even speak certain things, then you can't think certain things. Like if you control speech, you control how you think as well. And so obviously we can speak however we want in real life, but so much of life is digital these days, even what we're doing right now.
No, but like I can speak whatever I want in real life, but if no one's there to hear it, what does it matter? And like,
exactly.
Even just take our show. We're live streaming right now. We had 20 people, but before when we were on Facebook and Twitter, we were having 100 people.
That's right.
So it's not. We don't really have freedom of speech. It's just like, in my mind, income tax is marginal slavery. It's I'm a slave and I don't have control over my work for the percentage I'm taxed. Like, so too with our free speech. It's only as much as allowed through the channels that we can speak it. Otherwise, who cares? Like if you're in a closet locked in your room because of coronavirus and you can't talk to anyone, who cares if you have free speech? You don't really.
You actually don't, right? It's like it's so ridiculous. Like when you go to these events and there's like a free speech zone where you're allowed to speak in this one zone. It's like that's actually not free speech. Like you can't say, "Hey, you have free speech in your closet in your room," so you could just say whatever you want. That's not what we're talking about, obviously. Yeah. So it's just so interesting. So it's a very interesting concept. I haven't really thought it through, really, but that's how these big tech corpo guys operate. They operate like little gods, and you could almost see like Jack Dorsey when he was saying how like it scares him how much power he has over Trump. I don't want to set this precedent. And it's just like in the movie 300 when Xerxes is like, I'm a kind god. You know what I mean? Like it's just this is insane. Like he operates as if he's a little cult leader. They all do. All these corpo guys do, and Bill Gates is definitely like the king of that.
It's the humanist religion. I mean, it is the same religion. It goes through evolution and things just like Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnesses. It evolves and things like that. But it is truly a religion. I'm thinking too, like about that same thing about how much free speech you really have. You have to keep in your house. How long have they been trying to keep religion just between you and yourself in your home?
That's right.
It's the same thing. Like, you can have your religion, but you can't bring it into the public square. You can't bring it into business. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. Like, it's the same kind of control. It's so obvious once you start thinking about this.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It is really amazing, and that it's not going to end. I mean, you hear about Bill Gates buying up farmland. You hear about him involved with climate change. Geoengineering and all kinds of stuff. Like they're just trying to do everything. They're trying to control everything, every portion of life. You know what I mean?
You know what else is interesting? I'm just trying to think of is the Catholic Church had that, and then there was the Reformation, and then there was persecution because the Catholic Church wanted to hold on to it, right?
Right.
And then with social media, there seems to be this kind of persecution when Parler first came out, got deplatformed. Then they tried to attack Gab as the alt-right site. They're trying to get that shut down.
Yep.
It seems like every time I'm trying to think of what happened with colleges, and I can't really think of anything where they were trying to hold on to power, except they started subsidizing student loans and just making sure everyone got funneled into it. So maybe it's more of a financial attack to try to keep people and impoverishing people. But it seems like there's always a battle that has to be fought once that de-siloing happens. Kind of interesting.
Very crazy stuff, man. So that's my new thing. I'm going to noodle with that a little bit more. Yeah.
Transhumanism is a really interesting topic because in the normal folk life, we don't think about it at all. But the people that create the products that the normal people use think about it all the time. It's their way for eternal life without Jesus. That's really how they think about it. They want to live forever. And though transhumanism is the tool, they think they can do it, which we all know how that's going to end.
Right. That's exactly right. The people that make all the tech that you work on, the people that are trying to set up the government the way they want it to their liking, they're all thinking about this. This is what they love. They love thinking about this exact thing. And it's not something to be like overly like freaking out about, but it's super creepy. And it gives you the confidence that what Torba's talking about, that this is a religious sort of spiritual battle, even though it might be like, it's just Gab. Who cares? It's just a Twitter platform. It's like, yeah, that's true. It is just technology, but it's actually a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual fight. Like it's worth fighting because these guys are creeps and they're trying to install their religion into lots of people. And lots of people are still on Twitter and Facebook and still, subjecting themselves to that. And they're going to be used as pawns in this game. They're obsessed with this kind of stuff.
Right. And the reason there was such an attack on Gab and Parler, but not so much anymore because now it's taken over by the Mercers. Specifically Gab is, if Gab exists, the power of Facebook and Twitter is gone for all intents and purposes.
That's right.
Because they can't control as much. The only way you can control it is if there's no other competitors.
That's right.
So that is why they come after it so hard. So I've never thought of it. Like, why are they coming after him so hard? It's not just simple antitrust violations.
No,
it's religious, like you're saying.
It's so bizarre. I've been trying to rack my brain around why they're having so much difficulty with this banking thing and so much difficulty with simple things that everybody just takes for granted. And I think you're right, Matt. It's like this is critical to their whole little plan to not have a legitimate option out there for you. This is crucial. As long as you have an option, lots of people are going to take it, and lots of people aren't going to be willing participants in their little scams. So, like, his existence, Torba's and the Gab team's existence, is a big deal. It's a big deal to them. So much so that they will attempt to stop anyone from doing business with them, any means necessary. The fact that they can't find a bank is so outlandish to me, which means that they're pulling out all the stops to try to shut this thing down. And
even Christian
I know that
credit unions.
That's right. That's right. And so it's just really crazy, and yeah, man, I don't really know what else to say about that, but it is just Gab. It's just a tech platform. I get it, but it's like, it's not just that at the same time,
Not at all. No, not at all. And that goes to the Glenn Sunshine thing I love so much, that we live in this mystical world, enchanted world.
That's right.
And it's just a platform, but it's not just a platform because there's spiritual realities tied to it. There's spiritual realities in being able to share information and communicate with people around the world. And especially when there's these false religions out there using their platforms for the alternative, it is far more than just the physical world. This is very, very spiritual. I think that's one of my other red pill moments that I've had in the last couple months, even.
The Sunshine speech?
Not the Sunshine speech per se, but just, I mean, I guess that would be the start of it.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. Yeah.
That was definitely the catalyst. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. It was the catalyst. But then, and that was kind of the positive catalyst of it. But then I started seeing the dark side of it as well, and trying to just make sense of why are people trying to ruin other people's lives, and why do people want to be totalitarians, and all of these different things. And it just made so much more sense that, the Bible is actually true, that we are in a battle against principalities and powers.
Yeah.
But it's all linked. It's so good. Speaking of Gorba,
that's true.
Gorba teased, which means he really is going to do it, run for House of Representatives. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gab as he goes for that.
Andrew Torba?
Yeah. He's going to run for Pennsylvania representative.
Yeah, good for him.
They're definitely going to pull out all the stops for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Too, right? Yeah, they're going to bring in more Dominion voting machines or something.
Yeah. I can't imagine they'd ever let that happen.
I know, right? Exactly right. But if he did win, I definitely would feel more hope about our future. That's for sure. I'm seeing a lot of people on here leaving Twitter. That's good. We left Twitter too.
Yep. Sure did. I'm so happy. Every now and then someone will send me a tweet of someone saying something stupid. And sometimes I miss seeing the stupid things, but at the same time, I think I've reached a good equilibrium where I'm not bombarded by stupidity constantly, but I still get to see the best ones,
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. Eric said the Christian banks are still probably insured by non-Christian insurance companies. Maybe they are, but I mean, it's a credit union.
Right.
They're run by supposedly the members, just how the organization is structured. So that's what was really shocking to me.
Yeah, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But at the same time, it's even if they were even if you knew that they weren't, you would think that Christians would want to stand up to the zeitgeist a little bit more. But the thing is, there's a lot of woke Christians out there too. So they're probably just oh, anti-Semites are on your platform?
Yeah.
Jesus was a Jew. I mean, how can we do this? Because they're just so stupid. They don't think two steps ahead. They're just, there's a lot of anti-Semites on Twitter. You morons, obviously.
Right.
So what is what are we doing here? If you get the black mark, the red A on your chest, you can't live, you can't bank, you can't buy. How far are we gonna go with this insanity? Do Christians think 2 steps ahead?
No,
I think a lot of them do. A lot of them do. But these corpo types, but we might lose our charter. Time to grow a pair, everybody. I don't even know if charter's a thing for banks, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's good. Yeah, it's either they don't think ahead, which is kind of the way I lean towards it, or they do think ahead and they just don't want to fight. They're just too cowardly. Both are terrible options. All right, let's go back to a funny story because I wanted to hit this. This is probably could be a conspiracy theory segment as well, but this Suez Canal is a QAnon conspiracy theory, and it's just so funny because there's things about it that are actually true that make it really funny. So it's an evergreen company that is the container ship is called Evergreen, which was Hillary Clinton's call sign for Secret Service when Bill Clinton was president. You have a call sign, they talk over the radio or whatever. Hers was Evergreen. That's true. That's a fact. I've heard it before this thing ever happened. That is true. The call sign for the ship itself is H3RC, which is her initials, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
I love QAnon.
So right there. Okay, but that's all true. That is actually what the ship's call signs are.
There you go.
And they believe that this is actually a white flag operation and there's children being smuggled on the ship.
Yep.
And why they really believe this is not just those Hillary markers, but before he went through the Suez Canal, the captain of the ship, he drew a penis in the ship lane before he went through the canal. And so they think that was him indicating that this was some kind of sexual, a human trafficking kind of operation. And he's grounding it so that they can be escaped.
Huh.
So the conspiracy theory, yeah, that's crazy. I don't believe it.
Huh.
It's funny that it's all Hillary Clinton, but I just want to know, did anybody else know what he was doing when he was driving around in this Red Sea making this is a huge ship. You don't just turn the ship on a dime. How do you maneuver that so well?
So what you're saying is
you got to practice, don't you?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, here's what I'll say. I hope that if it's true, the kids get rescued. I'm not inclined to believe it.
Right. But what are the odds? Like, how are these? I keep on telling my wife, and it was happening a lot in December and January, where people would post things that weren't QAnon people, like advisors of Trump's or whatever. There's this one advisor of Trump's that the QAnon people love, Dan Scavino or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
but he would do things where it's like he almost was doing it on purpose, where he would post clips that were 17 seconds long that had no reason why it cut there, but that just is the 17th letter in the alphabet is Q, and they would go nuts. They would go wild. Oh, it's a message of some kind. At like some point, some of these things just got to be part of the play, right?
I guess so. I mean, it's got to be part of the play. I mean, yeah, all these, like we're talking about these tech corpo guys. Everything they do is cryptic. There's all kinds of weird stuff that all these people, these elite people do. I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm inclined to believe that kind of stuff is part of the play to get you all involved in the story. I mean, this just makes no sense. I don't know, man. I can't go through that stuff. I can't decipher it.
I just think I'm more of a conspiracy theorist than the conspiracy theorist, because I think the conspiracy theorists are getting played by the conspiracy.
That's right. You're like Inception conspiracy. It's like
that's right.
The conspiracy is that they're doing these conspiracies for the conspiracy theorists. That's the conspiracy.
Exactly right. You thought I red pilled. I'm ODing on red pills,
You're
dude.
ODing, man.
Like, the jars up, like hitting the bottom of it.
The complexity just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Because I see this and I'm like, there's no way the ship Evergreen is related to Hillary Clinton, and then they put the initials of her on the ship. They got to be playing with people. They just got to be
playing with people. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what's what these days.
Yeah. That's what's so fun. And that's the other part of being red pilled that's so great is anything could be true and anything could be fake.
Right.
And there's no source you can trust anymore to tell you the truth. So just have fun with it.
Just have fun. That's a very good way to put it. Just have fun with it.
Yeah. So Pelosi is doing something that is crazy. She is going to try to remove, she can do it if she wants to, a Republican House representative from Iowa who won in the election 2020 by 7 votes. And there's this procedure, I don't know what the laws are for it or whatever, but basically if the House decides that there was election fraud, the House can vote to remove the person and put the Democrat into the seat. And that's what she's going to do.
There you go.
And yeah, so after all the banning by the gods or the priests or the prophets or whatever we want to call them, that we can't even mention election fraud, the Democrats are claiming election fraud and going to take out a GOP person and put in the Democrat person. It's an Iowa seat. I forgot exactly which district.
I hope they do it. I hope they do it.
I hope they do it too.
I hope
but listen to this video. Let me see if I can set it up while I'm talking. Of Nancy Pelosi straight out admitting, and this is what I love about it. It's not a Chrome tab. I'm not going to hear. Never mind. We're not going to hear the sound. I didn't think this through at all. But she says in the clip that I can't play because I'm not smart enough to think through ahead of this, is that she has the power to seat and unseat anyone she wants.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Yep.
She straight up said that, which, going back to our Biden talk of restructuring America, the GOP's not going to exist. These people are starting to say things they never would admit even 2 or 3 years ago. And that's starting to give me the little heebie-jeebies,
They're just gonna go for it, man. They're just gonna go for it. And when I say I hope she does it, is I think that there's still a few kind of stragglers that maybe they bit the red pill in half and only swallowed half of it during the election, but they really need to swallow that whole thing, man. They really need to get the whole pill down because we need as many people that understand what we're facing as possible. And the reality is that eventually you have to think that eventually they're going to overplay their hand and people are just going to wake up. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe they won't. But I'd like to have as many allies as possible. So if she does something like that, I think more people will see the scam than do already. I think there's a good amount of people that already see the scam, but we need more, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, I am of the mind that Trump got 80 million votes.
Yeah.
So that's obviously more than anyone else has ever gotten.
Yep.
And I've been watching the polling specifically with Latinos and the southern border with this immigration crisis that's tanking for them. So they're waking up to seeing what the Democrats are doing, which is a huge pull and statistic for America, because they're the growing population. Eventually, we're going to be a Latino country in a large part if we continue with the trends. Which luckily I love Mexican food, so I don't really have a problem with it. And I actually
we're not all Mexicans, Matt.
More than ours.
We're not all Mexicans, Matt. That's racist.
Latino, I said.
Latinx.
But yeah, we just need to get Mexican food from California to go across the state, because other states' Mexican food is absolutely terrible. But I think people are waking up. But look, like I said before, like when you lose power, there's always conflict. And how do you think this is going to end? Like, if you could guess, and I'm not saying it's going to end tomorrow or whatever, but do you think that eventually they just come down with the hammer and we're like the CCP, or do you think that the populist movement's going to rise again and take back the country? Like, what do you think this is going to go like in your just gut?
Yeah, it's so hard to say, man.
I know,
it's
but
so
just
hard
like
to
a gut feel.
I don't think whatever happens, I don't think there's going to be an armed uprising. I think we've all lost the will.
Yeah,
we've all lost the will and the ability to do it. And the people that haven't lost the will, they're also smart enough to know a fight they can win versus a fight they can't win. You know what I mean? So I think what's going to probably end up happening is you're going to get like a reduced standard of living kind of across the board. And it's going to be like everyone's just going to be like pretending like everything's fine and okay when it's not. It's going to be like what you're going to get with like, when somebody pretends like a man's a woman because, he says that he is one. Like people pretend like that, even though they know every part of their mind and their soul knows, like, I'm lying to myself as I'm doing this, as I'm insisting it's a her, it's a she's beautiful. Like they're insisting that it's like going on LinkedIn. Like when you've seen all these people that are just like, they're just faking it, like all kinds of stuff, faking outrage, faking support, faking everything. It's like that. They don't actually believe it, but they pretend like they do. And I think that what's going to happen is, I don't know if we'll go full CCP, but we're going to end up pretending like everything's okay, even though things are like really starting to get bad. When it comes to censorship, when it comes to like dropping the hammer and stuff like that. And then eventually I think that we'll probably go to war with somebody, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, and there'll be a lot more suffering. And that's what I think is going to happen. That'll probably be the wake up, when we're in war, and like, because we're an empire, I believe we're an empire that's on the way down, and obviously China is on the way up. Right. And there's definitely going to be some kind of a conflict there. I think the only thing that can shake us out of our stupor is some kind of a war. And that's pretty much inevitable, in my opinion.
Interesting. So the hope is that we last long enough for this war to happen, that we survive and be able to kind of do a reset back to how things were before.
Right. So if you look at how God treats nations, they rebel against him. He comes in and he does the pestilence thing. He does the war thing. And sometimes people are carried away, sometimes, and they go into bondage. Other times people are left behind to kind of work the land, and they're kind of like serving the other country. And then there's kind of like almost like a reset that goes on.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that is pretty likely. That is pretty likely.
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that there's any chance of any kind of armed uprising? I just don't think so.
I think there might be pockets.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be a lot more tyranny in the cities, like we're actually already seeing. But I think it's going to be more federally controlled, possibly. Sure. I want to believe there's going to be an uprising. I want it. I think it's needed. I think it's justified. I don't know how it would look, where it would be effective yet.
Yeah.
But like if they're talking about taking our guns, like they're starting to push now. I mean, there was this crazy lawsuit. I don't know if you saw it. The Ninth Circuit. It was a Hawaiian case where I think it was 26 to 22, or no, maybe that's too many people. But
you said in Hawaii
panel. It was a Hawaiian case. It was the whole Ninth Circuit. So it's like several states. Ninth Circuit covers, I think, 12 or 13 states. But the court case, the Ninth Circuit overruled the Second Amendment and said that there is no right to a person to carry guns in public, ever, concealed or not concealed. And they used laws that predated the Constitution. Like, they went back to English law and kings and what they decreed. They referenced Hawaiian law before Hawaii became a state. And they said that supersedes the Constitution. And then at the same time, Biden and Harris are taking and pushing for the mandatory buybacks in the National Gun Registry. And which the National Gun Registry, the next step after that for everyone is confiscation. They find out where the guns are and then they take them. That's
sure.
What a National Registry is. So, but the point, going back to the question, is I hope that that's a line where people will stand up and say no. I want to stand up and fight in that point, and like that's why I'm trying to talk with people and form like militias, like the Second Amendment says, so that we could have a stand against that. Because I think if we stay individual, then we're not going to fight. There's no chance. But if we have militias that are going to defend each other when they do come for our guns and try, I think it's less likely. And so I think there's more chances of those kinds of things happening in rural areas, or not so much city, maybe even suburbs, hopefully. But I think there's going to be a large concentration of the totalitarian controls in the cities, and then the suburbs are left to their own, or the rural areas. But I definitely think we're going to go to war, and that's going to change everything, because I don't even know if we can win that war and what that looks like. Like, do you think that if we did go to war with China, that nukes wouldn't be used at this point?
No.
Right. So, I mean, what does that look like?
But if you want to get really crazy on the conspiracy theory, some people think nukes don't even exist.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How do you know about all these conspiracy theories that I don't? What channel, what site do you go to? Is this like a 20chan or something?
I've been red pilled for years, son. Oh yeah, some people think it doesn't exist. One of their biggest evidences is the fact that Hiroshima is like a thriving metropolis only a mere few years later, when supposedly there's supposed to be radiation poisoning. They're like, where'd the poisoning go?
Interesting.
So what people think is that it was like firebombed like really badly, but there was no nuke. That's what people think.
Interesting. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I have no way to know.
That is a good question. Now I'm thinking, why? How is that a possibility? Like, you have what's that Russian site that got blown up? Chernobyl.
Yeah.
People still don't live there. Granted, it was probably far more radioactive because it was a nuclear reactor.
Sure.
But after a couple years, people are living the dream back in that place.
Yeah, it's like a metropolis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about that stuff. It's too much.
If there is to be a war, Austin says, then the registration confiscation will be when it happens. We'll know when, one way or another. Yeah, I think that is going to be it. I don't know what else would be a point, at least for a civil war. I think that's what we're talking about. I don't know what else there would be. To me, that's a line that I plan on fighting, just because if we lose our guns, then that's everything. There's nothing to save us after that. That's our only brakes. I always talk about the left not having brakes. There's nothing that's going to slow them down. In the Bible, we're the salt of the earth, right? The church is supposed to be that. They don't have any kind of godly influence in their lives. And so the only thing they respect is authority. And guns represent that authority. So if they take that from us, they'll do whatever they want. Right?
That's right.
Yep.
What else you got? We done, or you got? Let me. Can I answer some questions here?
Yeah, answer some questions.
Just a couple things here. We got somebody had asked me. Montana Viking asked me, how have I not talked about Ibram X. Kendi advocating liberation theology and condemning savior theology? I will. I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. That's Jamar Tisby's new boss, by the way. Did you hear that one, Matt?
What?
Yeah, Ibram X. Kendi. He doesn't like the fact that Jesus is a savior. He prefers him to be a liberator. And he now employs Jamar Tisby. Jamar Tisby is now the assistant director of narrative and advocacy.
Wow. For what organization?
Who knows? It's some fake organization. I don't know. It's a fake company. I think it's the center, the Center for Anti-Racism Studies or something like that. And my thing was, why couldn't he have given him the full directorship, like the assistant director? Like, this is Jamar Tisby we're talking about here.
I know.
And then I started thinking, how many people are in this narrative and advocacy department that it needs an assistant director?
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, Debbie,
so,
thank you so much for your super chat. By the way, I really appreciate your support. That's such a blessing.
Savior theology. If you think Savior theology, if you like Jesus, he's the Savior theology, that actually breeds bigotry to Ibram Kendi X, and I guess Jamar Tisby as well. There you go. So I'll talk about that for sure.
AD, I have an idea.
What's up?
Start a business as a minority, and then start doing business in these states and the cities that are voting in reparations.
There you go.
And just start getting checks.
That's a good idea. And I'll even give myself a fancy title.
Yes.
It'll
Definitely
be like
not an assistant.
No, come on.
Oh, executive VP.
Ooh, that's good. Executive VP, because it's not bragging too much, but it is very authoritative. I like that.
It's very, very authoritative.
And I like narrative. Narrative is good. Narrative's a good word for this. Like narrative and inclusion. Maybe I'll be the executive VP of narrative and inclusion.
Oh
so I'll come to your business. I'll tell you how racist you are for an hour, and I'll charge you, I don't know, a couple $1,000.
Working too hard, AD.
True.
I'm telling you, with how government contracts work, being a majority-owned minority, you could get government contracts like no other. And just get the reparations, man. You don't have to do anything.
I might just start taking advantage. This is Duke. Go for it, man.
Dude, it sucks to be white.
Yeah, man.
It totally sucks. Everyone hates us. We don't get any like special perks.
You're to blame for everything, too.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. You need more buzzwords in your title. That'd be funny. That'd be funny just to totally throw shade at him and just come up with a business and fake titles and just like start asking him questions and interviewing him.
I should name it.
Him.
Yeah, name it something very similar, but like better. So like super anti-racism or something like that. Like extreme anti-racism center of research and studies.
Yes, and then invite him for discussions and see if he comes on.
We need to have a dialogue. Listen.
Sorry,
we need to have a dialogue about advocacy, narrative, and inclusion. He's only involved in advocacy and narrative, but I want to bring him in to lean in on the inclusion side as well.
That would be so funny if we set up a shell company and just tried to get him to go into it and have it be like a podcast discussion and see how long we can pull it off.
That would be amazing. That would be a lot of effort, but if it worked, that would be really funny.
It would be totally worth it if it worked. Oh my gosh.
I wonder how hard it is to do like the stuff that Jamar does, like, because it's all made up, you know?
Of course.
But like, I wonder if he actually puts a lot of effort into it or if it's just sort of like lazy to him. Because I think a lot of these people do put a lot of effort into this nonsense, but I bet you some of them, it's just like a fun game to like make stuff up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I honestly don't think it's a game to them. I think they're really angry, bitter people. That's what I think. I mean, we're funny and joking around with this stuff because we don't take it seriously. In my estimation, these people really do take it seriously. And that's how that they can see their issue in anything that happens in any event. They could pull it back to their issue because they're so angry and consumed by it that there's just these victims that are always getting victimized. So I think they really try hard. It's crazy. It's a terrible life.
It just doesn't seem like very much fun. That's for sure.
No, not at all. All right, well, I'm going to go have fun and enjoy my white privilege. Amy, thank you for spending your time with us. And thank you for everyone who joined in the live chat. Please share the show when it comes out tomorrow. Give some more people to come to our live discussions. We're on YouTube and Twitter for now, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. You can catch us wherever podcasts are. And hey, maybe we'll have like a guest speaker, Jamar Tisby or something on it.
We got to come up with a shell company first, though.
Yes, shell company. So if you see a random post that's normally reformgelical time, but it looks kind of social justice-y, you know we got Tisby on for an interview.
Yeah, and if you see that the executive vice president's going to be on, get real excited because it's going to be be a treat.
He will be the AD is going to be the executive, and I'm going to be like the admin. That's as a white person, the white admin. Have to come up with a title for me as well. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you next week. God bless.
God bless.